A Sheboygan man will spend several years in prison for a parking lot shooting in Fond du Lac that left one person seriously hurt. 53-year-old Luis Guzman Romero sentenced today on 11 counts, including first-degree reckless injury. A jury found he pulled a gun during a fight in an October 2024 confrontation on North Main Street, firing once into a parked SUV, then again hitting a victim in the shoulder before driving off. Today, the judge handing down a sentence totaling about 15 years in prison with 10 years extended supervision, all with no contact with the victims and strict sobriety conditions. A restitution hearing is now set for him for next month.